In my opinion, a good class should combine two different things. And one is it should have a positive atmosphere so that the students can enjoy their learning in the class. And also, I believe that a good class should have a very specific purpose. And all the lessons should work to achieve that purpose. For example, I teach a class called Job Market English. And my purpose for that class is to prepare students for professional interviews and also for the OPIC exam. So all the lessons are designed to help students to achieve those goals. I believe that when a class has a very specific purpose, it can keep moving the students in the right direction. I want to be remembered as a teacher who helped students to become more global. And my classes taught them to enjoy the process of learning English. And if students finish my classes and think, I was able to communicate in English without feeling stress or without feeling burdened by it, but actually I had fun communicating my ideas in English. And if I could help to break the wall of fear that many students have about English, I feel like that's actually really important because that can encourage students to keep communicating in English after they finish my classes. And that would really make me happy. And if I've been able to do that in my 10 years at 광운, I would consider that to be a very rewarding achievement. Well, I've been teaching here for 10 years now, so I have a foundation for my classes. However, I want to really make sure that all my lessons are very current, so I try to update my classes. So I review each lesson before every semester so that the classes feel very modern, and I know that the students will be able to improve and keep moving in that right direction with those lessons. So I think it's really important to always to check your lessons and not teach the same thing all the time, because as with COVID-19, things can change very quickly, and I think teachers and students should both be able to adapt to those changes in society, as well as English classes. I try to make the classes as enjoyable as possible while also serving a very specific purpose. So I often incorporate humor, and I try to have students work together as much as possible. And I think that also creates a very positive and close atmosphere between all the students in that class. And I found that very helpful for all of my classes. For me, what I found helpful is that in the beginning of the semester, I explain my expectations for the students and also for myself for the class. And I always explain the classroom rules and also the scoring system. And I try to make sure there are no misunderstandings and there is no confusion about what the students need to do to achieve a specific grade, for example. And in the beginning of the semester, I always explain to the students, this is what you need to do to be able to get an A+ or an A, for example. And I think if the students know exactly what they have to do in the beginning of the semester, it helps to avoid problems later in the semester. Well, one habit that I think I have is I often include humor in my classes, and it comes very naturally to me because when I'm teaching, I do not want to feel bored myself, and I also do not want to make the students bored. So I often make jokes, and I often use American-style humor because it comes naturally to me. And of course, it should not distract from what we're learning and what we're trying to do, but it's something that comes naturally to me. So I try to make a light atmosphere. As for what I would never do, I would never expect students to know something or to do something that I did not teach them to do. I would never ask exam questions about information that I did not specifically teach in those classes. And I believe that it would not be fair for me to expect students to be able to do something without me teaching them how to do it. And I think that would be a really terrible thing for a teacher to do. So I always try to make sure I explain to the students what I expect them to do, and then I teach them step by step how to do it as well as possible. And then we can work on having the students be able to improve on those skills. And then I would test their levels on that ability. But first, I need to teach them before I can expect students to be able to do those things. For me, I think the best motivation is for the students to be able to enjoy the learning process itself. And I think oftentimes when the students don't realize that they're learning English, but they're just having fun and enjoying communicating in English, I actually think that's the best kind of learning, when the students don't realize that they're actually learning and they're just communicating their ideas to me or to each other in English. And I think that's actually the most natural and organic kind of learning. I often find that students have a fear of speaking English, and that's one of my big goals, is to break down that fear. And one way to do that is actually I use my humor that I mentioned, and also by having students talk about topics that they really care about and things that excite them. For example, I really enjoy listening to music. So I often ask students for music recommendations, and I ask them questions about their favorite singers and their favorite groups. During vacation time, I always think about my classes for the next semester, and I review all the PowerPoint files, and I think about the overall goal of the class. And I ask myself, are these lessons still helping the students to achieve that goal? And a big part of my time is to consider my classes and make sure that I'm very clear about what the class is supposed to do, and the lessons are going to help the students to be able to achieve those goals. And I want to make sure that the students will be able to improve as much as possible for that goal, because students are paying wonderful money. They're paying considerable money, and they're going to spend a lot of energy for my class. And I have a responsibility to make the class as useful and helpful as possible for them. I expect the students to give effort. I'm going to help them as much as possible to meet the goal of the class. However, if the students do not help themselves, there is a very clear limit on how much they can improve. So I expect them to help me to help them, because without each other, I think we cannot, meeting the goals of the class will become impossible. So it's really important that we work together, and I try to make the best and the most positive atmosphere to make that possible.